Graham. He is chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee. And Mr. Chairman, it is always a pleasure to see you. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So I know that the president is on his way to India this morning. You had a chance to speak with him before the president took off. Can you tell us a little about the nature of that phone call?
Yeah, he's in a very good mood. He was out west. I was with him a couple of days, and we talked about the election. I really believe he's going to get reelected based on results. It doesn't matter who runs against him as long as the economy stays strong like it is and our military stays strong. We're safe, secure, and prosperous. I very much believe it's his election to lose. And if it's Bernie, I think the House Republicans are going to be the biggest winner of a Bernie candidacy, along with Senate Republicans. I think the down ballot effect with Bernie being the nominee of the Democratic Party will be pretty severe for the Democrats.
All right, let me move on to something that I know our viewers are waiting for, and you have told me that now the time has arrived that you are going to do your deep dive into the FISA abuse and what took place over this probe into Trump and Russia collusion, which we know never materialized. I want you to listen to a soundbite of Steve Bannon, who was with us last week, and something that he was talking about with regards to you. Watch this.
We're not interested right now in hearing from the chief of staff of John Kerry. Lindsey Graham, and I have tremendous respect for him, he guaranteed at the Senate Judiciary Committee, we need to have the whistleblower. We need to have the #2 whistleblower. We need to have Adam Schiff as a fact witness. We need Hunter and Joe Biden. I think we need Brennan. We need all of them.
So, Senator, what are your plans as you kick off this investigation this upcoming week?
Well, I don't have jurisdiction over the whistleblower. That's the Intel Committee. What I'm going to do is call the people who are involved in investigating the counterintelligence investigation. You have 21 people involved that I've named, and I want to find out, what did McCabe and Comey know? When did they know that the dossier was unreliable? The Department of Justice has withdrawn the 2 warrant requests, saying they were illegal. And in January of 2017, the primary Russian subsource told 4 members of the Department of Justice and the FBI that the dossier was a bunch of bar talk and hearsay and not reliable. I want to find out, when did Comey and McCabe understand that it was not reliable, and work from there.
So you're saying if they knew that the dossier wasn't reliable, why did they use it to take a warrant out, 4 of them, 4 times, to spy on a Trump campaign member, Carter Page?
I also want to know, in July of 2016, they tried to get a warrant and it was turned down. And it was McCabe that suggested the FBI Washington office go to New York. They've got something in New York that might help you. It was the Russian dossier. So who told McCabe that the document was in New York? And if McCabe thought it would help him with the warrant, why didn't he spend some time trying to find out if it was reliable? So that's what I'm looking at. Who knew what when? Did Rosenstein know that the dossier had been debunked by the time he signed the warrant? How could he not know?
So we're looking now on the screen of some of the players that actually signed the warrant to get the warrant in front of the FISA court. That includes Jim Comey and Andrew McCabe and Sally Yates and Rod Rosenstein and Dana Boente. Are these the people you're expecting to call down to testify in front of your committee in the next 2 weeks?
I don't know about the next 2 weeks. The first thing I want to do is call the 4 people who heard from the Russian subsource that this dossier is a bunch of bar talk and hearsay. Here's what you got to believe, that the most important investigation the FBI is conducting, the guy is now a sitting president, who was the nominee of the Republican Party, that the system was told by a Russian subsource of Steele that everything in the dossier is unreliable. I find it hard to believe that that did not work its way up to Comey and McCabe. Can you imagine how the system must have took the information that the primary document, the dossier, is a bunch of garbage? To think that it did not make its way up to the top, it would be hard for me to believe. So I'm going to find out, did it make its way up to the top?
So when you say you're going to find out, how are you going to find that out? Are you going to have them come down and testify?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to ask the 4 people in the room, when you heard from the Russian primary subsource that this is a bunch of bar talk and hearsay and it's not reliable, it was never meant to get a warrant, still is using in a way different than I thought he would use it. I want to find out, did any of those people tell anybody? Can you imagine working for the FBI and the Department of Justice, the most important investigation in the entire country just fell apart? And you didn't tell anybody? That's pretty hard for me to believe. And how did McCabe know the document was in New York when he couldn't get a warrant in July of 2016? How did McCabe know to go to New York? Who told him? This whole thing is fishy as hell.
Yeah.
I want to find out who knew what, when, and what they did with the information.
So just to be clear, are we going to see those testimonies in your committee within the next 2 weeks?
You're going to have people interviewed by my staff and others to get the foundation. Before I call McCabe and Comey, I want to find out exactly what happened.
Okay.
I want to find out who told what to who. Then we'll call them. I just can't believe that the investigation fell apart in January of 2017. They got 2 more warrants after they knew it was a bunch of garbage. How could that possibly happen?
Yeah, and I just want to point out our timeline, which is this counter-intel activity that happened way before July 31st of 2016, which is when, of course, the FBI said that their investigation into Trump began.
Right.
We go all the way back to December of 2015 on this timeline when Michael Flynn was invited to Russia to sit next to Putin. And then you've got George Papadopoulos meeting Joseph Mifsud in April of 16. Papadopoulos also invited to Rome, where he was introduced to Mifsud as early as March of 16. This is something that we understand John Durham is looking at. All of the activity before the beginning of this investigation. Why send these informants into Trump campaign people? Do you believe that's what John Durham is looking at as well?
Yeah, I think he's looking at how it started. You got to remember, the Mueller investigation was started after Comey was fired, because Rosenstein wanted Mueller to look at possible criminal activity by the Trump campaign. Here's my question to Rosenstein. If you knew then what you know now, that it was a bunch of garbage, would you have appointed Mueller? There was no crime.
Yeah.
The dossier was the basis of the warrant. In January 2017, it was a bunch of garbage. The guy who provided the information to Steele rejected the dossier as being reliable.
Yeah.
How could they continue? Why did it take 2 years for Mueller to figure this out? You should have figured it out in a week.
Yeah, especially since the taxpayers paid $40 million to do that. Real quick before you go, and I know we only have a couple of seconds left here, Senator Chris Murphy meeting with the Iranians. Was that breaking the Logan Act? Why is he meeting with the Iranians when the U.S. is trying to put maximum pressure on Iran right now?
Well, it's undercutting our foreign policy. The maximum pressure campaign is working. It was inappropriate, I think, for him to talk to the Iranians. We're working with President Trump to find an alternative to the Iranian nuclear deal that will be better for everybody, including the Arabs and the Israelis and the United States. But I think it was highly inappropriate to reach out to the Iranians. The president has the Iranians on the rope. Don't help the Iranians right now.
Senator, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks so much. Senator Lindsey Graham joining us there. Next up.